All right, let's set the scene, everyone. Welcome, Houdini. First things first, can you hear me?
I got you. You got me?
We're off to a sizzling start. Bearcats were off to a sizzling start in this one. They fell asleep at the wheel for a while, went down by as much as 16 points, but they're in position to potentially sneak one away from West Virginia. 87-84, Cincinnati on top. Aziz Bandago just fouled out. West Virginia has the ball. 45 seconds to go. What's the level of nerve? 1 through 10.
10. It's a 10. We can't go out this. I refuse to go out this way. It cannot happen. For my own health. All right, they're at the line. Big dude, Jesse Edwards. Not the worst position to be in for us. Not a great free throw shooter.
Dude, I cannot
and he
figure
drills
out.
It.
Of course he does. I cannot figure out my camera right now. So I keep turning the computer. The camera's facing that way, yet somehow I'm not centered. But that'll work. That'll get the job done.
Well,
today's topics.
Forgive me, Chuck, if I don't.
Survive and advance. Have a day-to-day CMOS. 2 wins equals madness. The boneheaded Mountaineers and smoke a Jayhawk. That's subject to change, depending on the last 45 seconds. Sorry to cut you off. What's up?
No, I was saying we got bigger things to worry about than your camera angles. He missed the second, up to 40 seconds left. I don't know if I'm ahead of you.
Jizzle James, ball in his hand, 35 seconds to go for Cincinnati. The Bearcats up 2. Oh, Jizzle, high dribble there. Got away with one. Lukosius takes a screen from Reynolds. He gets trapped, gives it left wing. Skillings, now top of the key. Day-Day with 8 on the shot clock. Day-Day makes his move. Probes inside the three-point line. That's actually Jizzle, and he's swatted away by Jesse Edwards as it hits a popcorn vendor in the face. Get that man some eye cream. 18.8 to go, 4.1 on the shot clock. Cincinnati's really picked up their three-point shooting in the second half. 15 of 37, good for 40% in the game. All right, they get it in. Skillings. Day-Day for 3. I already know it's coming. Hold on. Bang! 90-85 Cincinnati, 12 seconds to go. Don't foul, and you should probably win, and that's a timeout for West Virginia. Day-Day Thomas has 29 points. CMOS Lukosius has 31 points. Have a day. Have a day-day, CMOS. How about that? Go Bearcats.
I mean, how many threes is that for Day-Day today? Jeez, Day-Day
That's
Thomas.
7.
I mean, you could see CMOS doing some shit like this. Day-Day's got 7 of 10 from 3. That's incredible.
This is March. The hoops are bigger in March, Houdini. You know this.
Yeah, apparently. Apparently in the last 10 minutes of the second half is when they get extremely big.
I was going to go on Twitter, Houdini, and I was going to go on quite the rant. And this is why I don't do it until the game's over. This is why I'm composed.
And it's still not over. This could end in a disaster. We know this.
That's tough. I think the Houdini metrics, forget the Houdini metrics, the Chuck metrics right now are at about 98.6. We feel pretty good. 5 points. If it was 4, maybe a different story, but 5 points. Although, with our free throw shooting abilities, you never know.
Well, Aziz is fouled out, so he won't be shooting any, which is a plus. Oh, let's just get a stop. Let's get a stop and end this madness.
This has been a hell of a game, though. Nice little start to your day. It'll wake you up, that's for sure, if you thought about taking the little 5 o'clock nap.
I know. It's still sunlight out. All right, here we go.
You're ahead of me.
He missed it. Chuck.
Kirk Riza missed 3.
They're letting it go. That's it.
They're letting it go. Cats are purring, folks. Cats are purring. Welcome into the chat room, everyone. We got a post-game show to talk about. First things first, 90-85. Let's check mark that final. Let's update the record as Cincinnati moves to. Hold on, Houdini. You wait for what I'm doing. Check it out, everyone. Oh, the Bearcats are 1-0. It's a brand new season. It's March. I'm going to try to get this Bearcats video to go. As usual, Houdini, my stream deck went offline right before the show. As you see, I'm in the dress clothes, had to scramble. but we're going to try to play it. Here we go. Chatterbox Bearcats with Chuck and Houdini. What do you say, everybody? What do you say? We don't say that. That's what we don't say. I told you, Houdini. That's just a damn disaster. Damn disaster. Let's pull us back up. Here we are. Let's get the graphics back up. We're not going to run the intro, everyone. Instead, we're just going to play some music because apparently I can't figure this out. Can we get someone from tech? Can we get someone from tech? Come on. This is supposed to be within working hours. Cincinnati 90, West Virginia 85. We'll just start an imaginary intro video with a little bit of music, though, Houdini, because the Bearcats did something today they haven't done in history. Welcome into Chatterbox Bearcats, everyone, with Chuck and Houdini. Cincinnati. This is why they're hot. First back-to-back Big 12 winning streak in school history. Both wins over the last-place Mountaineers, and this one somewhat of a sweatster, but forget about it, folks. Chuck and Houdini to break it down on a weekday as the Cincinnati Bearcats improve to 1-0 on the season. This is March, brand new season, and they advance to take on Kansas in the Big 12. It's not even the semis, is it? It's the quarters, the Big 12 quarterfinals. We're not even close, Houdini. Got to win 5-5. Overall thoughts on that game?
Holy hell. I mean, awesome game. I don't know if I've been more frustrated in my life than watching us go down 16. And then the tech started happening. West Virginia imploded. Aziz Academy Award for his acting on that one tech he got. He got that guy baited into. Amazing stuff. Then CMOS and Day just went ballistic, man. I've been punching air all day since about 3 o'clock for about 2.5 hours straight now. And hey, we got the win. I was gonna be so pissed off if that's how we ended the season, man. That would have ruined everything that happened this year. Even the positives, man. That would have ruined everything.
I had literally the rundown planned, and the first thing that was going to pop up was going to be F, because that's what I was going to say. An F of a season. You lose to the worst team in the Big 12 twice. That makes you the worst team in the Big 12. You lost to Xavier. You lost to Dayton. You bowed out in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. You lost more games than you won at home in conference play. Would have been an F. But survive and advance. Bearcats live to see another day. I figured we were either losing to West Virginia or we're one of the hottest teams in the country. Forget about it. Bearcats win 2 in a row. How did we even describe this game, Houdini? Because it was a 16-point West Virginia lead with about 9 minutes to go. The pitchforks were out in full force. I was not actually out on Twitter. I was finishing up the workday, fortunately, or I probably would have been pitchforks on Twitter. But I stayed away from it. Bearcats made their run behind CMOS Lukosius, who scored a game-high and what I imagine is a career-high 31 points on 7 of 12 from 3. Day Thomas also hit 7 3-pointers. He has a career-high 29 points. How do you explain it? Bearcats come back from 16 down in a matter of seconds after that technical battle implodes. West Virginia implodes. They're going home, and the Bearcats are going on to face the Jayhawks, who I will say is probably the most banged-up team in the entire country. Cincinnati may legitimately be favorites or close to favorites in that game.
I doubt that, but they definitely have a solid chance of winning the game. I don't think anybody's too afraid of Kansas right now. Obviously, they're still super talented, but a Cincinnati team that we haven't been able to shoot threes to save our lives, even wide open ones all year, to be down 16 points, it feels like it's 30. And we basically came back it was like 3 minutes of game clock. We were tied up. I did not see this coming as I was, punching the air during that 16-point run that West Virginia went on. My girlfriend was like, be positive. This team always claws back. And I'm like, they haven't been down 16. They can't do it. There's nothing to be positive about.
How'd that go against TCU?
She was right.
Yeah.
She was right. They came back. I was shocked. And then by the end of the game, I wasn't confident at all. We had it was just bucket after bucket back and forth. We looked like the two most efficient offenses in the country for the last couple of minutes, and we squeaked it out. So we survive and advance, man. Back-to-back wins against the worst Big 12 team in the conference. We'll take it.
Hey, We'll take it, man. Oklahoma State may have been worse. We'd have to look at their heads-to-head. But anyways, Cincinnati was down 16 with 12:26 to go in the game. And to paint a picture for everyone watching, scrambling, you get home from work, you're trying to watch the game, you're trying to take notes. I'm running the graphics on the screen as well. I'm trying to set up any sort of a stream to where we can get this off on time. And Jesus, I got voices in my head, Houdini. It's a built Ford Tough. I mean, how many ads are they going to throw up at me? It was just like 4 in a row where I'm trying to talk and they're giving me more ads. I don't want to buy a car. I have a Nissan, Houdini. I like my Nissan, damn it. Anyways, what I was saying, Bearcats were down 16 with 12:20 to go in the game. That's when I'm starting to prep the rundown. I got to watch the end of the game. I got to send the link to Houdini. Like, there's a lot going on in my head here. And I think season's over. I'm getting ready for a show that's just depressing. West Virginia just ran us off the floor. That's 12:20 game time by, let's see. It was a 2-point game by 7:24. So in 5 minutes. 5 minutes of game time, it's a 2-point game. And the Bearcats had tied it up with 5:33 to go, less than 2 TV timeouts later. So Cincinnati gets it done. How many points did we score on that technical possession? Because the foul was there on Kirk Riza, then the technical foul on Battle, then a double foul on Battle. Lukosius hit 2, Day Thomas hit 2, Lukosius hit a 3-pointer. It was 7 points in a span of like a minute. A 7-point swing for Cincinnati.
7-point possession is ideal when you're trying to come back. Yeah, if you could do that every time, it would bode well for you. I mean, this is a team that we beat 92-56 3 days ago on Saturday, and all of a sudden we're down 16 points. I mean, that just shows you how much things can swing game to game, especially in this conference. But defensively, we struggled a lot today. There was definitely some negatives, but we'll go with the positives. Getting 90 on the board and making what? How many threes did we have? 16 threes. That's unlike the Bearcats we know and love, at least this season. So, hey, at this point, it's just about keeping the season alive. I was hoping to God that wasn't Newman's last game. He had a dud. I've loved Newman all year, and luckily we lived to fight another day, brother. Let's go. Is it too early to start drinking?
Go. Yeah, it's too early. It's Tuesday, buddy.
Yeah, damn it.
It's Tuesday. But tomorrow.
Like
man. Kansas. Absolutely. Why not? Crack yourself a cold one for Kansas because it's the late night game. CBox Lukosius, very late, 8:30. Is it 8:30 Central or Eastern?
I believe it's 9:30 Eastern.
Okay, so you got the 9:30 game. That's a little midnight postgame show. We getting a stand-in, or you think you're going to be good to do it that late?
Oh, you kidding me? I'm
Kansas.
Going after that team came back. I mean, they deserve me to be at the helm. Tomorrow night, I will be ready to rock. I will be wide awake. I'll tell my boss in the morning if it's not going to happen. It's that simple. We got a shot, dude.
Slap a saddle on the Bearcats and ride them to the county fair, folks. I think it's going to be a closer spread. You scoffed at me when I said Bearcats could be favored or close, but I mean they were what? Plus 5.5 at Kansas. They'd be plus 3.5 if they played them at home. Kansas is going to be missing Kevin McCullough and Hunter Dickinson in this game. 2 best players gone for the Jayhawks. They still have Furphy. They still have studs on that team and plenty of young talent that will step up in their absence, but it may be close, man. CBox Lukosius, 31. Day Thomas, 29 to lead Cincinnati. Dan Skillings had 13. Aziz Bandago, 6. John Newman had the 3. Jizzle James had the 4. And Josh Reed had a trio of air balls. On to Kansas, man. Your overall initial thoughts on the Jayhawks?
I did not realize, Chuck, that Hunter Dickinson was officially ruled out. I just saw Rothstein 20 hours ago. I was a little late on that. I thought McCullough was out. I did not realize Hunter. That's huge. I mean, they still got depth, at least a decent amount of depth, guys that are 5-star recruits coming off the bench, but they're pretty thin, man. So I like the way the bracket broke down. I did not want to see we're on the opposite side of Houston. We beat Kansas, then we have a chance of rattling off a few of these W's. And I think if we win If we beat Kansas and then the next game, I'm not sure exactly how it would shake out, but it'll be another quad one. Then you start talking about us sneaking into that real bubble conversation, right? You go 3 wins in the Big 12 tournament. I think we have a real shot. If you do 4, if we get to the semis, I think we're in. If you get to the championship, guaranteed in. I don't know. Everyone was saying before the tournament started, you need to win the whole tournament. I don't think that's the case.
No.
I think it's Kansas.
I think it's 2 more wins equals madness. I really do. 2 more wins. You beat Kansas. You beat Baylor. I don't know how you're left out with road wins to boast.
Is it Baylor? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Baylor, that's one of the best wins you can have on a neutral site. You add that to the fold. It would have helped if they would have taken down Oklahoma for sure. But Kansas, they don't care that Dickinson and McCullough are out. They're still going off the numbers, right? We got the computers in the back. Everyone's going off the computers. Cincinnati needs to get their net ranking in that 35 range. If they can get it into the 35 range, we're going to be sweating. I'm sweating right now in a dress shirt with a lamp just shining on my face in the auxiliary studio. Is my wife Kylan. Shout out Kylan Mills of the Big Ten Network and NBC Sports and ESPN down in the basement studio right now as I get the auxiliary locker room. But we'll be sweating on Selection Sunday if the Bearcats can win both of those games. And that's madness to me because with 12 minutes and 20 seconds to go in this game, Bearcats were dead. There was nothing but a carcass left in the Paris of the Plains, Kansas City, Missouri. Nothing left of a carcass, and they rose from the dead. And I'd cue up the Bob Huggins bit. We're not dead yet. Why all the long faces? But unfortunately, you saw what happened with the stream deck. You don't want to ruin the entire show, Houdini.
Right, and 90% of Chatterbox is currently traveling around the country, so we got no help. It's just me and Chuck, and that God knows that's going to be a disaster. But you're right, man. The way they fought back, I truly, like I said, I did not see the light at the end of the tunnel here, especially the way we shoot the ball. And all of a sudden, God willing, we caught fire, and West Virginia certainly helped us. I feel like we were on the other side of that where we just implode as a team. West Virginia was all over the damn place. I mean, they had, 4 technicals, something along those lines, at least 3, that really allowed us to get back into the game. And then with our shooting with CMOS and Day-Day, that's a recipe to erase a 16-point lead pretty quickly. We did that, and then we actually closed the game. And now we're on to Kansas, and you're right. We got Baylor after that. Listen, I don't want to get ahead of myself because we beat West Virginia twice. But we have a real shot. We have a real shot. We are not dead, folks.
Not dead. You beat a banged-up Kansas team. I don't know if you're going to be sweating if you just take down Kansas and lose to Baylor. But you never know. You've seen crazier things. Maybe we creep into Lenardi's next 4 out. And we've seen next 4 out teams get in on Selection Sunday. Maybe they lose but are efficient enough against Baylor to where the numbers put them down in that 35 range, like I said. Give yourself a shot. That's all we're asking. The only way to do that is to beat Kansas, because if the Bearcats lose to Kansas, I don't think there's any chance that they're even on the bubble. They just don't have the quality of a resume to get the job done. But a bizarre game in the barbecue capital of the world. I wrote when UC was up 16-9 that they're electric. I had this in my notes. I said, Jamil, a slam off a Day-Day miss. Dan Skilling slithering all over the place. Jizman step back. The fearlessness of a freshman. Aziz affecting the game just by existing. And then what typically happens is I watched more of the game. I saw some turnovers happen. I saw UC shoot a boatload of threes and miss a boatload of threes, and West Virginia get whatever they wanted. And I said, oh, no, we suck again. But what did we do? We out-rebounded West Virginia. We didn't clamp down at any point. But 7 threes from Simas Lukosius and Day-Day Thomas. I want to pull up the archives right now. The historian. If anyone in the chat room is a historian or just has access to pretty good encyclopedias, please tell me the last time the Bearcats had 2 players hit 7 threes in a game.
That's a great question. That is a great question. That's got to go back to what? Did Steve Logan go off and shit?
I was gonna say maybe
Jihad
against.
Muhammad probably
I was gonna say against
7 threes.
Maybe I was gonna say against Oregon back in I think 2003 or 4. I feel like Tony Bobbitt may have hit that mark. Maybe like Field Williams chipped in 7. They had 100. I don't know. Maybe that was a random game where they did it, but probably not recently, right? I mean, 7 threes alone.
No.
They've had 1 or 2 maybe hit that mark in the last 15 years, I feel like. So definitely not 2. That's something that we're overlooking from this game. That should have been the lead right out of the gate. Instead, we're talking about the barbecue capital of the world. But Day Thomas and CMOS Sakoshia, 7 3-pointers in the game. I texted you about halfway through, and I said they better stop shooting threes, man. They got to stop shooting. They're not making them. Boy, do I look like an idiot. Thank God they kept shooting them. It's the only reason they won, because they weren't stopping West Virginia.
Oh, no. I mean, let's see. Day is a what percent three-point shooter? It's got to be in the 20s at best. Let's see. Yeah, he's a 24% three-point shooter. He shot 70% today. That's not typically a guy that you want launching 10 threes. It's usually a recipe to lose a game. Today was a different story. We're down 16, and he was hitting them early. So at that point, ride the hot hand. CMOS is the one guy that I feel confident firing a lot of threes in a game. Everyone else was pretty much a dud from three-point range. Skillings, God love him, but just the form, it looks atrocious when it comes off the hands. I don't like him shooting threes unless he is wide open, and I mean 10 feet wide open. Because outside of them, we had Jizzle went 0 for 4. Josh Reed 0 for 3. The moon ball, I think he airballed a couple.
He airballed a couple.
And Newman 1 for 4. Yeah,
the moon
Newman
ball.
1 for 4. Skillings 1 for 5. Josh Reed has a moon ball. It's like I pray. I like feel bad for him when it doesn't hit the rim. I'm like, oh shit, that was embarrassing. So we got to work on getting him because he had some good minutes.
He would have hit the rafters over at Nativity on Ridge Road, the house that Will Muthing built. He would have hit the rafters with this three-pointer. Probably at about half the CYO gyms in Cincinnati.
Yeah, Josh Reed could possibly hit the Jumbotron at Cowboy Stadium. That's what we're talking about. That's how high arcing he's got that shot going, and it wasn't working today. So hopefully we can get him back in rhythm because I actually like him defensively a little bit. But yeah, there's not much to say. I mean, Aziz was solid on the boards, had 13 rebounds, excuse me. Other than that, I mean, it was Lukosius, Day, and Skillings here and there with 13.
Boneheaded Mountaineers. That was one of my subjects I wanted to talk about, but I think we already got into it. West Virginia, for no reason, Raekwon Battle. There were so many in a row, it felt like, that I didn't know who the technicals were on. You know, there was one where it was the foul on Aziz, right? And then there was another where Raekwon Battle walked into the huddle. Was there another? They said there was 3 technicals during that time. I wasn't sorting it out. I don't care about the little details like that at the end of the day. All I care about is who's shooting the free throws for Cincinnati. And who was shooting those free throws was Day and CMOS. They knocked them all down, which is another story of itself. Bearcats from the free throw line. How did we finish? You got the numbers in front of you. I feel like it was all right.
Yeah, 16 to 21. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that our bad free throw shooters weren't really shooting them. So Aziz went 2 of 5, Skillings 2 of 4, and then we had CMOS 8 for 8, so he was the bulk of it. And Day 2 for 2, and Jizzle 2 for 2. So the key is to try to get your good shooters shooting the free throws, because I promise you CMOS doesn't shoot 50% from the line like the rest of the team does. And Skillings still struggles there. But when you get a tech and you get to pick who gets to shoot them, our numbers are going to look a lot better. So you can't get into a 16-point hole. I don't care who Kansas has playing. We gotta clean that up, play some better defense, which is one of the first times we've said this all year. Play some defense, man. They couldn't stay in front of anybody. Skillings looked like he was on ice skates half the game. Jameel Reynolds struggles as a big man, moving his feet on defense mightily. When Aziz comes out, it hurts the defense. So we got to clean some shit up if we want to really rattle off, a miracle here and make this NCAA tournament.
I don't think it's a miracle, man. Maybe where we stood 30 minutes ago,
Chuck,
40 minutes ago, real time.
We had a eulogy. We had a eulogy for this team, and you're telling me it's not a miracle to rise from the dead and enter the tournament? It will be a miracle if we get in. It's in front of us, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It would be a miracle, considering, yes, they are dead, technically. But they can rise. They can rise. It takes a win over a depleted Kansas team. Now, if this was a Kansas team that was healthy, I'd say no. I'd be like, we're losing to Kansas, and if we lose to Kansas, we're going to get our asses handed to us against Baylor. But if you beat Kansas just based on the numbers alone, maybe the computers like us enough and some random dude on the committee's daughter went to Cincinnati. I don't know. Maybe we get lucky somehow, some way if you beat Kansas to where you can at least sneak on the bubble. Enough teams lose. There are no bid thieves out there that steal all these bids, and maybe they need one more team to put in the play-in game, and Cincinnati's going up to Dayton, Ohio to play the Providence Friars. Oh, what a perfect world that would be.
All right. Well, let's make it easy. Let's beat Kansas. And I think the computers actually take into account slightly of who actually is playing if one of your best players is out. So I think that might hurt us slightly with McCullough and Dickinson out.
It's a pretty important fact. Yeah. Yeah. Still.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see what happens there. But you beat Baylor, man. You're in, no question. And the bubble's weak. Let's call it how it is, man. Indiana State, I think they might have just lost it by losing the conference championship. They have, I think, 0 quad 1 wins. And we know the committee. They're addicted to seeing the quad 1s. And guess what? Who has the quad 1s, especially if we beat Kansas? We do. We'll have a number of them. We'll look pretty good comparatively to some of these USF-type teams that are in the American. I say that looking down on them as if we weren't in the American literally last season. But it should bode well for us. We'll see what happens. But let's beat Kansas first.
I do have to say something about the likes of USF, though, because I've been slandering them for weeks because of their non-conference losses to like 4 quad 4 teams and figured this team stinks. They're just running through a bad American team. I don't watch a lot of South Florida, but I know people that do watch a lot of South Florida because they have minor gambling addictions. And those people all say South Florida's really good, and they could see them going deep into the NCAA tournament. And the only reason they had such a bad start to the year is because it's a bunch of transfers. They didn't gel well together. Now they're gelling well, and they can knock down shots. So South Florida to the Elite Eight, Houdini. You heard it here first. I haven't seen them play once. Don't know a single player on their team. South Florida to the Elite Eight, folks. You heard it here first.
I mean, that's how you do March Madness. You just pick a team that you heard a couple people tell you was pretty good, and you just take them to the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight. And you never saw them. You never seen a single player play. I actually have watched USF. I think they are good. If this was a USF podcast, I'd be like, are you shitting me? They're considering UC over us. We won 30 games. They can't even go 500 in their own conference. So we're a little biased here. But I really think if UC was flip-flopped with USF, we'd be in a pretty damn good spot from a win standpoint right now. I think we would have smoked the American this year.
Joe Kernick on the line. Let them know, boys. We back. Cincinnati takes down West Virginia 90-85. Next up, the Kansas Jayhawks tomorrow in the Big 12 tournament. Going to be a lot of Kansas fans in attendance and essentially an arena right down the street from them with all the alums and everyone in Kansas City. So they'll have the home court advantage. They will not have the healthier team. However, 2 technical starters of Cincinnati, C.J. Frederick and Victor Lockett, at some point this season are also out. But C.J. Frederick, Victor Lockett, God bless you. We love you. You are not Kevin McCullough and Hunter Dickinson. So the Bearcats get the Kansas Jayhawks at the right time. Late night game, 9:30 tomorrow night. That's Eastern Time, 8:30 Central to those folks in CST. Chuck and Houdini will be with you live after the game. We'll go live with probably a couple minutes to go unless the Bearcats are getting their asses handed to them. If that's the case, we'll have the bagpipes ready to go, and we'll rebury them as we had to change out their tombstone as they're slightly popping out from underneath the ground right now. Anyways, for Chatterbox Bearcats and Chatterbox Sports, Chuck and Houdini, Alex Frank will have the little recap from Fifth Third Arena, talking about what Wes Miller said. That'll be on the audio version that you can get wherever you get your audio podcast. So subscribe there, leave us 5 stars. Bearcats' first 2-game winning streak